Oh my goodness. Welcome everybody back here to KC Happy Hour, episode number 37. It was a long 8-week stint for us here with Kart Chaser across the Southeast and then Central South United States for the last 2.5 months, really going all the way back to the beginning of January with back-to-back major event racing all the way through. My name's Andrew Clements, you guys' host. We've got just about everybody from the OG crew on our original first episode of KC Happy Hour back on tonight. Everyone got to travel home yesterday, get a day home in their own beds. Let's go ahead and introduce who we've got here so far. We've got a few of our normal guys. We've got a few special guests going on. I was hoping that I'd be able, because this show is going to cover a lot of controversy. There are fireworks going all over social media here today following the fallout of the SuperKarts USA WinterNationals at NOLA Motorsports Park. Unfortunately, I don't have the system in yet, but my goal is for next week to be able to have it where you guys can call into this show and you can talk to us and we can kind of have conversations with any viewer who would like to join in at any given time, whether you're an industry member, just a follower of what we've got, and so on and so forth. But you guys know what we have for the lineup here tonight. Braden Eves, Ryan Norberg, Connor Zillish, Paulie Massimino. Ryan Perry's going to join the show tonight, team owner for Ryan Perry Motorsport. Dalton Hanes joins the show tonight. So for any of those guys, if you have any questions or comments you want to send them in the chat. With that said, there are a lot of fireworks going on social, so we want you guys to keep it as civil as you guys can. I want to have everyone be able to give their thoughts in on the chat and comments throughout the night here as we go live with this podcast. But please, again, remember, we've got families, kids, adults all watching. Be respectful to each other and be respectful online, but at the same point, don't feel like you got to be filtered to, say and not say what you mean. So keep that in mind for everyone listening in. But we're working on some cool stuff here with this show. We've got a 3-week gap coming up, so we're going to be able to have a little bit of time to do some more R&D on the Kart Chaser side. We have one special trip that I have in the middle, but besides this, we're off the air for the next couple weeks. We were originally set to go to the Route 66 Sprint Series event this weekend at Newcastle Motorsports Park, cover the season. But that's a regional series. We have a great relationship with Mark Coates, the owner of Route 66 and the US Pro Kart Series. We talked back and forth, and ultimately, all these broadcasts we're doing, the series do have to pick up a brunt of the bill to be able to put them on. And that comes back to the entry fees and the pit passes and the series revenue. And the Route 66 series is kind of on a growth spectrum back on up the order to get more and more entries to where it has been before. It's going to probably be around 120 to 150 this weekend, but it's borderline. I talked with Mark a good bit in the weeks leading up, and it just doesn't really make sense to bring us out there for this one. If you guys would like to get us to get out there, feel free to continue to talk to your series, talk to your promoters, see what kind of creativity you can get to get that stuff going. But we're not going to be there, unfortunately, for this week, which I am a little bit bummed about, but I'd love to go. At the same time, I'm happy to be back in my own bed. It's been 8 weeks for me to get back home, so that part selfishly is a little bit cool to be back. But for us, we're racers who want to be around the racetrack and going to as many races as we can. So again, just a heads up, I know we had originally announced we would be at the Route 66 Sprint Series this year. Unfortunately, as of right now, that plan will not go through. We're still fully set, all good to go. Stars Championship Series kicks off in May. Our next event's going to be the US Pro Kart Series at GoPro Motorplex. That'll probably be another 300-plus entry race. I think somewhere in the ballpark of 240, 250 here coming out of New Orleans, which is pretty good for a track that hasn't had a club scene yet. I talked with the guys over there. They're super excited to get some more club racing going. I got to meet a lot of the NOLA staff. Awesome crew going on. Shout out to Joey and the rest of the team over there. Want to wish those guys the best of luck, and I'm hoping to continue that conversation with them because that facility's top-notch. We had a blast getting to go there. So just wanted to give a few housekeeping things on the updates. Let's go ahead and bring in all of our guests that we've got here tonight. First of all, after his first full weekend here with us, Braden Eves. Braden, you and I talked. It was probably the first time at a racetrack you got to watch every single lap of a go-kart race, right?
Yeah, exactly. It was fun directing on Sunday. Yeah, like you said, I mean, I don't think I've ever in my life watched every lap of every session all day, so it was definitely interesting.
Let's go ahead and we'll bring in someone else here as well. Of course, while Braden was up with me in the broadcast booth, Connor Zillish, Conmon, made his pro shifter debut, got some hardware. Braden, you got to eat your words a little bit. You went under on it. You know, he did get above the top 8. Conbon, congrats. Good run.
Both days. Well, first day I got DQ'd, but we made up for it in the second day.
It happens. It happens. But congrats, buddy. Good job. We'll talk more about that in a minute here. The man at the center of a little bit of heat here today, Ryan Norberg, joins us with his HD cam. Ryan, are you happy to be home too, man? It's been a long stint for you too.
Absolutely, but I mean, I'm still working, so I have some stuff this weekend and next weekend as well. So actually, not next weekend, but I do have stuff this weekend, so it's not a complete break.
Not a complete, but you're in your own bed.
Correct. That's nice.
Good enough here. Dalton Hanes. Dalton, I know you got a bit of a drive back from NOLA for you and your brother loaded up in the van. Or looked like you guys had a little trailer this week, actually. You guys are stepping the rig up.
Yeah, we had the truck and trailer. We were sleeping in it all week.
Yeah, man. Roughing it out there. And here, double on the cam, Paulie Massimino, Ryan Perry. Boys, how are you guys doing? You're over at Paulie's house, aren't you?
No, we're at Nathan's house.
Oh, okay. Well, why are you guys in
Paulie, why are you laughing?
Yeah, what's going on, Paulie? What are you giggling about, man?
Got Twisted P up in the house, bro.
Oh my God. Well, that's the secret. That's the
At least we have somebody else who actually talk, and it's not just Polly just staring at the screen for the entire time.
Mom, it seems like every race you have wheels flying off. What's up with that?
Wait, who is that towards Ryan?
Connor.
Dude, I'm starting to think that the wheels falling off are my fault because it seems to happen to me way more than anyone else. It must be something I'm doing wrong.
Well,
it did make for a good meme, though.
It did.
Yeah, it got Kart for a few likes on Instagram.
We got a few views off that there. All right, so let's dive in first here. We got a bunch of talking points, obviously, tonight. Little bit of news that came out over the week we wanted to touch on real quickly here. We mentioned the US Pro Kart Series was going to be our next major event that we are streaming. Originally, the plan was those guys were going to go with an alternate layout. This is an outdated photo of GoPro Motorplex. They since have added a few different runoff areas. We got to run the different layouts at the USA Grand National Championship back last year. I thought the layout for the X30 shootout was awesome. There were kind of mixed reviews on the shorter layout that was run on Saturday for the heat races, but the X30 shootout layout was cool. They were set originally also to look at going backwards with a couple different sections to make that safe to run, and they've done the work for it. There were some issues with the timing loop back then. I got a feeling that'll all be sorted and ready to go for the Grands this year. I think that's going to be one of the most highly anticipated races of the year. But the Pro Kart Series, USPKS guys going with the standard layout. So for anyone that's going to be going in, obviously we know Ryan and RPG and probably everybody else here is going to be testing at the club race the week before. So at least then all that's going to factor in. But you don't have to go to that specific club race if you test there like Paulie did today, who's going to be living there for 2 weeks here to try and win home race. You know, every lap at the track, every single day.
I was there today.
You posted about it.
Your Snapchat story.
He thought it was discreet. He thought he could get away from it. Well, what do you think? Ryan's just visiting? No, we know what's going on over there. You guys are testing already.
No, that's not what happened.
No.
We were unpacking the shit, and then Perry's like, we're unpacking the stuff, and then Perry's like,
I'll throw your cart together real quick. You may as well drive, you know.
May as well drive. Yeah, why not? Well, all right. Day 1 of 25 for Paulie's testing at GoPro, everyone. So he'll be there all 3 weeks and finish 5th. So yeah. we'll call that. Anyway, but that's the big note. I don't know. Around the room really quick, boys. Here, Ryan, Braden. Actually, everyone here got to run it at the Grands last year. I mean, those 2 alternate layouts. What was your guys' thoughts on here? Connor, let's go to you first since we don't know when you're going to be back in a go-kart after this. And
probably that race.
You think?
Yeah. No.
All right.
That's October, but no plans.
What did you think about the layouts then? I mean, do you like the alternate ones?
The shootout layout. I mean, it's better than. I just don't enjoy doing the same layout every time I go to the track. So when we switch it up, I enjoy that, and I really like the shootout layout. That was really cool. I didn't really like the chicane I don't know what days we ran it for the heat races. Where you came out of turn 4 and had to like bounce those 2 curbs, that was pretty terrible. But the shootout layout was a ton of fun and it made for good racing.
Brian, what about you, man?
Well, I mean, I think if you're going to run a big national series, you kind of have to do the standard layout. I mean, it's too many carts, especially the way USPKS has it now, where they're, pushing 60 entries at an event. It's the shootout layout. It was fun, but it's fun for 12 guys. I think if you have like 50 guys, it's going to be a disaster. And then the other shorter layout, again, it's fun for, a smaller field for a heat race, but a big field and I mean, it's not the best. So I think, I like that they're sticking with the standard layout. I mean, if they can run it backwards, it probably still has enough space. Turn 1 would be pretty hairy, but it still has enough space to hold that many guys. I just definitely, I don't really see there being any alternative layouts for a big national race like USPKS, where you're pushing 300 entries. It's going to be difficult to run the chicanes and run that smaller layout with that many guys.
Yeah, I mean, even with like a 50 cart grid, it kind of bottlenecks on the natural chicane they have on the regular layout. So that's a good point. Braden, your thoughts?
I mean, for me, I think of all the layouts that they have available to them, the one that everyone runs normally is probably the worst of them. So for me, I'm not going to be racing, so I don't really care too much. I'm actually going to be racing at Barber that weekend, so I won't even be there. But I think I would rather if I was racing, I would rather do any of the other layouts.
Yeah. Paulie, I think for a guy who has it as his home track, you like hate that place. What do you think?
Oh, hate's a strong word. I've been there for quite a while, so it'd be nice to, see him make it work and run it backwards. I think it'd be sick backwards if they can make it work. But no, I kind of wish they would do the layout we did at the IMU race, the shootout one, not the one we did during the heats, because I feel like everybody else said, it's just not enough room for all the people that will be out there.
Yeah, I think the shootout one would still kind of the bottleneck a little bit. I think Ryan's point was probably pretty good because like a few of those sections got really tight and like the biggest thing I think with all these racetracks and what we learned at Orlando, which even then is not a terrible turn 1, but it's not great sending guys into a hard braking zone that bottlenecks too early where you get down to a single lane section, which is kind of what you have at that like turn 3-4 complex coming out of it. Where like if it's too early in the lap that the field has to get single file, it can get messy. And at least with the normal layout, or I mean, maybe with the shootout layout they ran where you went up to that chicane, it wouldn't be too bad because the bowl kind of naturally like spreads people out. That's why Supernats obviously does the 90-degree corner and then wide hairpins for the start. Dalton, I can't imagine you got a whole lot of love for that heat layout. You broke a chain there like almost every session.
Muted?
Oh, is he? I don't know. We lost him. Dalton, I think we lost you for a second.
We can't hear you.
Here, we'll let him go to work on that. We'll go back. We'll come back around to it here. We'll give Dalton a chance during the commercial break. But I don't know. Let's do a little bit of closing thoughts on the weekend before we get into the big stuff. Connor, we talked about coming into the week. You did like 5 laps in it. I mean, from when you ran that track a year ago in the X30, when did you kind of start to feel comfortable in the shifter stuff?
I don't really want to say I ever felt comfortable. I knew there was more. I mean, I would do like 7 laps and then I'd want to die just from exhaustion. I mean, it was like really tiring, especially at that track. I feel like I could have done it. I mean, at GoPro I wasn't that tired, but we got some echoes. But anyway, I feel like that track so bumpy and so technical that it just made it harder. I mean, even X30, it's not the easiest track, physicality wise. But yeah, it was a ton of fun learning something new and kind of just testing myself. And I think, I mean, towards the end on Sunday, I felt like qualifying, I was 200ths off Marin, and I feel like I had the pace to run there for about 8 laps. But yeah, it was just something new, and I enjoyed it.
Well, we've got some other stuff to get to, but Ryan, out of the original guys, you're the only one that wasn't able to make it to last week's show to kind of heckle Connor a little bit about the shifter stuff. I know you've been eyeing it for a minute. Have you gotten the chance to test one? Can you attest to the differences too, or not yet?
I mean, yeah, it's harder to drive. I haven't really done a lot with the shifter stuff, but I don't know, after watching Connor, I don't necessarily want to do it anymore now because it doesn't seem like it's fun racing. It's faster, which is cool, and I bet like practicing is more fun, and the starts are fun. But like, I don't know, once the race gets going again, like it's even when you're fast enough to catch somebody, it's hard to get by, and even at a track as big as NOLA, I mean, the track is huge, and they're still struggling to pass each other. I don't know. I'm not too interested in running it anytime soon. Maybe, a one-off here and there, but for now, I think it's off the table.
Dude, I would love
Ryan,
to do shifter.
Ryan, if you wanna schedule a shifter debut, I'll be down. I'll be down.
Okay.
I've never driven a shifter before. So
Oh, okay. It'd be like you and I battling like 2 seconds
yeah.
off the pace every lap, just like missing
Paulie,
shifts.
Paul, are you in on this, bro? Hop behind a shifter for the first time?
Absolutely not.
At the end, at the end of Sunday's race, like going into some corners where you like got to shift up and then down immediately, I would just hold the gear, just rev it out. I didn't want to shift again. I was just like, I don't care at this point.
Actually, it'd be cool to try, but like Ryan said, like I saw how Connor was when he came off the track, and he looked like death. So I don't know.
I mean,
Yeah.
Connor was fast, so it's like I like. It's cool to see Connor fast and up front. It's just like even then, it's still not like it's super great racing.
I can agree with that. I mean,
yeah,
unfortunately.
but like I feel like it's almost better racing though because it's actually difficult to pass. Whereas like an X30, a lot of it is like restraint because if everyone was passing every time they possibly could, it would just be a death show.
Yeah, but like that's the difference between like IndyCar and Formula One. Like IndyCar's way more fun to watch. The drivers have way more fun driving it. It's like Formula One's cool, but like up until this season, there hasn't been any racing. Like it hasn't. There's nothing that happens. So it's like it's cool, but like if I had to choose, I would probably choose the one where I could have more fun.
Yeah.
If
I
that
mean,
makes sense.
I'm with you on that one. I mean, it was cool, but like once you get in the race and like after 5 laps, it's like everyone is so spread out because there's only 15. I mean, there's only 10 people that are 8 people that are fast. So I mean, it's just once you get going, you just drive. And it's just like
Yeah.
practicing for 20 laps.
Connor, you made some passes late in the race. What are you even talking about?
Yeah, but like I had to like dive bomb people, and it was just.
But you still
Yeah.
made passes late in the race.
I know you can pass. It's just it takes more effort than it does in an X30.
Yeah.
X30, you just draft by them and it's cake.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
Yeah,
and
you guys
it's
see
not
me.
that easy.
Yeah, we got you. We got you now, Dalton. You're good. Yeah, I think we'll like, the depth of the field isn't there, right? I mean, there's no question that Danny and Marion and Jake, AJ, and
Dude,
Greco
what?
was really good this weekend. Pickett's really good. Kyle Wick's a champ. I mean, but you could go win, and it's happened to a bunch of different guys throughout the X30 field and qualify 25th the next day, and so. I'm not sure. And as we look down the line towards wanting to have, what we're doing, which is building the sport to have spectators that don't personally know the drivers, right? And getting us to that point where we could have entertainment based races and a top level deal. Is that a product that's, something you can sell, from a streaming standpoint, from a ticket sales standpoint, if you had, the depth that the X30 field has with take all your top X30 guys, give them enough laps to get up to speed, which in case proven by Connor's obviously one of the top, in general, but maybe even give a couple guys some testing. Does that racing product get better or does it still stay the same? Because like Ryan said, it's so hard to show that race because it's an F1 race. And that's why it's compared to F1 in every single way. And the X30 stuff is IndyCar, the KA stuff is NASCAR, especially with the NASCAR low horsepower, high downforce that they run now, where there's anyone that can win it to a degree. Should that be the pinnacle? I mean, I think the IndyCar pinnacle, the middle where the X30 stuff is and where IndyCar is the best. But if the shifter stuff could have more passing, I think that'd be cool. I don't know. it's a debate that I personally internally have as we look towards longer term stuff. And I'd be curious to see if we could get enough guys to run the shifter stuff, that if that race would look a whole lot better. Because in Europe, you can't judge it, even though all those guys are really good and they have massive fields, because the engine parity is just massive. And that's another topic for another day that we'll get to. In fact, we've got engine parity to talk about tonight when we get to it here in a little bit. So I'm going to send us to commercial break. But when we come back, guys, obviously there was some controversy on the racetrack we want to talk about, have a little fun messing with. And there's a little groan from the crowd of the guys, of course, and that's what a lot of you guys want to hear too. But big news here. This was brought to me the end of the day, and I'm going to touch on it when we come back. Impounded motors here. SKUSA's done this multiple times in the past. Ryan's motor got impounded. Jeremy Fletcher's KA Senior got impounded. Jeremy was supposed to be on the show, but his computer's broken, so we can't get him in. Troy Ferguson in micro got his engine impounded as well. So we're going to talk about that and some more controversy after the break here, guys. Stick with us. KC Happy Hour does roll on.
KC Happy Hour is presented by Precision Performance Karting. PPK is the exclusive South Florida dealer for Coyote Motorsports kart racing chassis and Coyote's newest distributor. However, owner John Seglem and Coyote Motorsports' relationship spans across numerous decades in the sport, meaning that you've got years of winning expertise at your service. PPK offers trackside support at all of the CKNA South Division events, the CKNA majors, such as the Spring Nationals and the Grand Nationals, the Sunshine State Karting Challenge, and a number of club races in the Southeast. PPK also has an impressive driver roster at these events, racking up multiple wins and podiums in 2021 with longtime Coyote Motorsports driver Chris Carroll and KC Happy Hour's own Paulie Massimino and Brandon Jarsakrak. If you're looking to get on the same race-winning equipment as these drivers, from the Coyote Motorsports chassis to the Odenthal motor mounts and Greyhound racing seats, Precision Performance Karting has you covered. Check out Precision Performance Karting on Facebook and Instagram, or email them at ppkartingfl@gmail.com. There's a new engine program on the block that's already begun winning races. Speed Lab Racing Engines has already racked up wins in X30 classes at the US Pro Kart Series and Rock GP classes at the most recent Rock Vegas event. Headed up by names you can trust, such as longtime engine builder Mario Lafredo and industry veteran Mike Speed, Speed Lab Racing Engines has quickly become the engine of choice for a number of top teams in the sport, most recently servicing the entire Rullison Performance Group and Speed Concepts Racing operations at Rock Vegas, and also servicing the likes of JC Karting and Mike Doty Racing. It won't be long before this engine program gets a wait list, with his resume already filling up with wins, so make sure to reach out and get your tune-up by emailing them at speedlabracinengines@gmail.com.
All right, so before I pass it over here to the room, let's go ahead and let's break down what the deal was, because this came in right at the moment, right near the end of the day on Sunday. Tom Kutcher himself came up, and Tom is Tom. For guys that don't know him, you can look up some of the old videos of the Tomversations that used to be up. He's a straight shooter guy. He's been around for a long time in the sport, and he ruffles some feathers sometimes because he doesn't, he doesn't care to be politically correct. He's going to be like, hey, you said this, we're going to do this. When you go up front and you run up front in the way that Ryan has he's got the whole RPG team running really, really good. They put in the time, they put in the homework, they run up front, they pass tech inspection, and the rumors still fly. And obviously Jeremy broke away on Sunday as well, was really quick on Saturday in KA Senior. Rumors start going. Whenever someone at any level, and it's the same all the way down to the club races, which normally in the club racing, it's not really real unless you don't have tech at all. If you have tech and guys are walking at the club, typically the talent disparity is pretty big, so you'll see some guys be able to do that stuff. But at the national level, everybody's on pretty good equipment or relatively new equipment, putting in the time, really talented drivers. There's no question these three guys here on the right of me are really, really talented drivers too. But the way that the process works here is, and the reason they have it the way that they do it, SKUSA, is they've been adamant they did not want to see suitcase motors or guys paying $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 to get a motor that retails at $3,000. So that was a big fall point of the Rotax program that they saw, and they wanted to try and avoid with the spec racing they had with the IAME products. So they put in a claim rule. Well, what happens with the claim rule and the way that originally used to work is that the customer could go up, and it could be anybody. Anybody, the first guy to go up there in a certain time period right after the race could go up to, let's say, Ryan, and go and say, hey, Ryan, I think you've got, a really good motor. I don't think I can build it as good. I think you probably, for whatever reason, I just want your engine. So they pay RPG, Ryan, whoever, to buy the motor at retail price plus $500 for the time they put to tune that motor up, essentially, because that's what they're allotting for a general blueprint. And if you go to retail to talk to Allison Racing Engines, Wiltshire Engines, any of the engine builders, I can't list them all. There's a bunch of them. If you go to them, normally it's 500 to 700, maybe at the most, to blueprint the motor, which means just going through it, trying to max out tolerances and get you a good piece versus just giving you one out of the box. The problem with the claim rule is that when you go to the high-level races, there's guys that have some deep pockets. So that what would happen sometimes is there would be a rich parent, let's say, that invested the 20K in the motor, and they would give that claim rule money to another friend of theirs to go up and claim their motor so nobody else would, and then their friend would go up, go through the process, claim the motor, and then give the motor back and the money back to the guy, and they would trade back off. So then the claim rule was just motors moving around in the same tent or the same guy, and it wasn't working. It's a great rule in theory. In execution, it ended up not being good. So SKUSA decided to take it back upon themselves to go after and impound the motors. And the reason for the impound versus just doing post-race tech inspection, which we mentioned a little bit on our Facebook comments, is that post-race tech inspection, while they do try to tear those motors down and go through as much as they can at the racetrack, it's a spot check. As heavy as they can go, they're on a time constraint. We really want these guys to go through the motors within 15 to 30 minutes, probably tops per engine, because we're running 7, 8 classes, sometimes 8, 9, 10 classes at a race, back to back to back to back all day long. Even when you want to tear them down at the finals, then Sunday night, everyone starts complaining because they got flights or they want to get on the road to go home soon. So when they impound the motors and they can do a further evaluation on the tech inspection, there's no extra pressure of this time constraint of 15 or 30 minutes to go heavy on it. Obviously, the logistical problem is that the US Pro Kart Series is the next of the 15 national majors on the season, which is just less than 3 weeks away. So for Jeremy, for Ryan, for Ferguson, they obviously, that's probably the motor that's their number one motor, or one of their number one motors. They'd love to have that engine back if it is legal and fully passes the checks to go and then get serviced, refresh with a new piston, etc., whatever they want to do to it and how far they want to rebuild it, and then go race at the US Pro Kart Series at GoPro Motorplex, because I think all three of them are going to be running that event. So that's ultimately what the outcome of it was. That was the big thing we announced over it, but really it's, even Tom was like, all right, you want to claim this guy's motor? You want to see it? And everyone that he mentioned was starting to complain to him was like, oh, no. They're just in your pocket. No. Don't put me. They didn't want to take responsibility for the comments of the rumors. They didn't want to disturb the paddock and piss anyone off. This is a fight the series are going to have to fight, the fight that the series have to fight all the time of tech inspection and cheating. And it's, guys are going to try and find ways around the rules. The series are the police force, the cops that are trying to enforce the rules. So this was something they did. Ryan, obviously it happened to you, so let's pass it to you. Talk to me about at least the experience you had in tech and what you were aware of and through Sunday. Walk us through it a bit.
Well, this isn't the first time this has happened. I've gotten, in 2019, I had like 2 or 3 engines taken and sent to Europe. In 2018, when I was with, or 2017 with Burrell, I also had an engine impounded and sent to Europe. In 2016, a lot of people are saying I was cheating. My engine was cheating, and it got scrutinized a lot. But I've had it happen before. It's really unfortunate that it happens to a team. I agree with them taking it. Let them take it. Let them do the further inspection. If they think it's cheating, and okay, certify it, make sure it's not. But after that, if it's not and it passes, at a time like now where there are basically no engines in the world, like there are, the last I heard, there are very few engines in the entire world right now. And it's hard for a team, with 25 guys like we have, where we don't have enough. We have enough engines, but that one engine does do a big difference to the team. It does disrupt 25 guys. You have a lot of guys, and a lot of guys need engines, and so losing one is pretty harmful. I get it. They do it. They've done it before. This isn't like the first time this has happened to us. It'll pass, and they'll send it back. They won't send it back. They'll take it. But I wish they would send it back. I mean, it would be nice if they would send it back and let us use it again, because like you said, we do have USPKS in a week, and losing an engine, when you have all the drivers lined up, you've got everything, at its limit, and then you lose one engine, it just does disrupt, the team and the flow. And I'm sure Ryan can attest to it. When you invest a lot in your team and everything, and then one little bit is taking it up, you're running on, it's hard to run a team anyways. To lose something, important like that, and one engine like that, it does disrupt the flow of everything, and it does, upset and make it hard for a team to function a little bit.
Yeah, Ryan, that's a good point. I mean, you're the one that, runs your operation is anywhere from 15 to 20 guys a weekend now. I mean, you take a motor out of the rotation if you've got a lot. How much of a stress does that become to you? Because you got to kind of redo your logistics even.
Yeah, I mean, for me. Oh, sorry, wrong Ryan.
I meant Perry. I meant the guy running the team. Yeah. But you're involved, obviously, Perry.
Yeah,
it's tough. I mean, we're having to send our engines back between races, put them on a pallet and send them all back, rebuild them all, and we only have so many engines. And then, like Ryan said, they are a little bit limited on the supply. And I mean, the last I got engines, they had plenty, but I heard they were going to be running thin, so could get tricky for sure.
Yeah, Braden, you were in that. I actually forgot about that till Norberg. I guess now we'll have to go that way to refer to you guys here for this podcast. But Braden, your engine I think got claimed too at that same time with Allison when you guys were both on Brandon's motors at Summer Nats, I think, right?
Yeah, so it was 2017. The race that I went 17th to first and had super good pace. They didn't take the whole engine. They took my cylinder, kept it for a couple months. Supposedly they did checks. I mean, I hope they're doing checks. I mean, that's what always my question is. As soon as it leaves, if the series takes something and they say they're going to do something, at the end of the day, they could just put out a press release and say, yeah, it's all good. So from my end, I hope that they're actually looking into it. On my end, they said they looked into it. Like 3 months later, they sent it back to us, and that engine we put the engine back together, and I never ran it again because I was kind of getting out of karting. But yeah, they've done similar things in the past.
Yeah, and it's not new, and I think that's where the catch-22 is, right? Like they can't expose to a degree like everything they do to give you like a pull the curtain back. Or video or pictures of how they check and what tools they have, because the moment they do that, then a guy's going to analyze it and find a way to get around it, right? So to a degree, you kind of have to have it like behind a black curtain. I don't know how you feel about that, Perry or Norberg or any of you guys that may think differently, but it's the same with like race directing, and we've talked about it in some of the other ones. There's some things that I would say in a driver's meeting to almost kind of scare the drivers, and if they called my bluff on it, it would make it really tricky for me to pull the penalties. One that I've talked about that I've done in the past for like SSKC, and not that I couldn't do it, but I'm not race directing that series now. I'm on the series directing in the protest side. I would threaten a 3-second penalty if I saw pushing, because we didn't have pushback bumpers, but the junior races would get bad. And so I would stand on the side and I'd say, if I see your bumper touching, then, there's going to be 3-second penalties given. So you got to at least be off the guy's bumper. Like you can't even be close to it. Otherwise, I'll give it to you. And that would scare the whole field, and none of them would have any daylight to it. But then at the same time, if they all pushed, what am I going to do? Or like if 10 of them push, I don't think I can get all 10. The cop's not going to be able to pull over 10 speeding guys. So to a degree, I don't think they can show everything. But like Braden said, we can't know. It's good that they're doing it. And like Ryan said, the whole point is to ensure clarity, right? If all it does is it validates Ryan's win, it validates Jeremy's win, and it validates, Troy's win. I mean, they worked hard, they won, this pace was there. You guys test a lot, Ryan. I mean, we joke about it. You're working this weekend too. You're gonna be up at GoPro testing the club race. Paulie and Perry will be doing the same thing. So this, what do you mean no, Paul? You're not running the club race?
Nope.
What are you working?
Yep.
You are such a terrible
Chasing that bag.
Time,
Chasing that bag.
I don't have time. Well, I mean, I don't have. I already committed to not running the club race this year, so I gotta stick to my word,
Well, any more closing thoughts anyone's got on that? Norberg, obviously you're the man under fire here a little bit. Anything else you got to say?
Not really. I mean, it is what it is. I just wish we'd get him back at the end of the day. I mean, especially right now. I think, we've had it before where it's been okay. But right now, I mean, I know it's tight with the manufacturers and stuff, and it's hard to get chassis right now too. I mean, it's hard to get anything. So it's a delay. So especially at this time period where we are going from like one race to the next race to the next race to the next race, and the truck doesn't go home. It's difficult. It's difficult for any team to lose something like that. It's just hard. So yeah, I wish they'd send it back. So at the end of the day, if it's legal, like, okay, can we have it back? And I'm sure Jeremy and Brandon, from Allison would say the same thing, and same thing for the kid in micro. It's like, well, it was my good engine, and I do like it. So if it's legal, can we at least just have it back? So yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I, for one, am very happy.
I just wish they'd open it up a little bit and allow everybody to bring everything up to spec. I think with spec racing, there's a larger disparity between engines rather than if you were to open it up and allow some porting and some machining. I think the racing would be a lot closer. It'd come down more to driver and setup rather than going through so many engines, so much material to come up with a few good engines. It's a lot more expensive like this, that's for sure.
Right. And going on the logistical part too, Dalton, I mean, you've got like probably 1-2 engines to your name. If your motor gets claimed and you don't get that back, you probably ain't racing.
No, dude, I have 2 engines, and one of them is literally 4/10 off. Is my practice engine. The other one's pretty good. I got good engines at the end. 2 engines, that's all I got.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you can tell it's honestly good that you're on your phone here this week, Dalton, because it plays on your privateer like low budget deal. You're at like 240p. Ryan over here is the New York Yankees with his 4K camera.
Jesus, come on.
Dude, for half the podcast, I couldn't even hear. Paulie was in slow-mo for a while because someone called. I couldn't even hear him.
Oh my goodness. Well, here, let's take that. And let's talk about the other part of controversy from today's social media was not spurred by Ryan, but maybe a little bit of fuel added to it. And I can't say that I blame you for doing it. Let's play your onboard here.
On the
Show it here. Be going at it with the kids, man.
Comments.
Hey, this is good. But here's the thing. I wanted to speak about this specifically because we talked about a lot of the rookies coming up at the beginning of each year. Obviously, we got to do it on the Happy Hour podcast this year. Talk about Jeremy and Carson and all these guys here to the side. Kind of evaluated it, and we gave a lot of credit to Connor as where, Connor never really got like roughed up a ton when he came to senior because raced with respect. He raced with kind of a lot of intelligence in the way that he went. So, at least according to Ryan and everyone that ran with him, there was a respect for that. But watching the clip that Ryan had, which I'll play in a moment, it reminded me a lot of the comments that we were making where sometimes you can get away with almost bullying drivers in junior. You'll see in junior races, if you watch them closely, there's the group of kids that are used to running at the front. This year, that's Caleb Gaffera. Elio Meza is up there consistently and had a great weekend, so shout out to him. Max Garcia is up there, has been up there for a while.
Ingrata.
I'm missing you. Ingrata. Aiden Ingrata's up there. Yep. Been there for a while. And then like the first race, like a new kid will kind of get up there. He's going to get passed a lot, going to get stuffed a lot. And that'll happen in senior too, but they may rough him up a little bit more and then he'll get scared and maybe not get up there if he's randomly fast one weekend. And so, guys in junior, you can win a race if you're 3/10 off, more so than in senior if you're really just kind of beating on guys a little bit and getting them scared because you got some kids young as, 11, 12 years old. So in this case, with the onboard from Ryan, and we'll play right here, you can see Carson Morgan get into him. And I think, Ryan, you had passed him right before this corner going into the last turn. Am I right? Yeah. Passed him there. Into
Looks like
it.
You came down on him a little bit right there.
Oh. Let's play the clip there. Gets into him in the back over here. This was – hold on. Let me get to the back straight away. So here he's just kind of leaning on you, right, going into the corner. He wasn't
That's
there.
like the standard junior strategy,
Yeah, and that I mean, right here.
That was clear.
There was nothing wrong with that, man.
No, I was okay. The whole point of that was I was like frustrated.
You got to see the whole 2
backwards.
laps, though. You have the whole 2 laps. You got to see the whole thing.
Yeah. But
if you look at all this compound, you can't say, oh well, that one was clean, even though he was definitely like trying to swerve over at the last second, take his front bumper off.
yeah. I mean, the thing that was obviously the worst about it was the whole Bruckner incident. Perry, I'm curious. Did you get to watch the KA Senior Sunday main?
I did not get to see that one.
All right, I don't have the clip for that one, but that one was not as bad. And I mean,
Very
you
bad.
know, that one was bad and arguably worse than everything that happened with Ryan. I mean, the Ryan thing, we've talked about it on here too, right? Like, you know, Ryan, when you're the fastest guy by a good bit, and you proved that Saturday being quickest by like 3/10 with the best lap time, you know that guys are going to stuff you more. Braden was talking about it when we had him on commentary for a little bit, but there's like just passing you back, and then there's a little more driving into you. I mean, you elaborate a little bit first on everything with that with you and Carson?
Well, I mean, yeah, obviously, you know, I passed. If you watch the full video, you know, like and subscribe, it's on there. You can see I passed him a few corners before. I didn't mean to. Honestly, I was going to pass Dante, kind of overshot the pass, and then Carson opened up and gave me a lot of room. And so I kind of went through and was like, oh, wow, that's surprising. Defended a little bit, and then, like you can see, I'm already on the throttle exiting the corner, and then I get hit. So, you know, to be honest, it happens. Like, that's the thing about racing is, like, I'm not just racing one guy. I'm racing 40. How many guys? We have 47 guys. So if one driver doesn't want you to win or doesn't, you know, wants to drive like that, they can. That's their right to do that. And so, yeah, I mean, obviously it did upset me a lot because I had a good run. I mean, I went from 28th and I was in 6th at that point, in 10 laps. So it was frustrating on my end. The reason that I got, you know, progressively more frustrated is because I know that's the junior strategy at the end of the straightaway, just to keep hitting somebody in the middle of the corner, because I talk to all of our juniors that come up and say that doesn't do anything. You're just upset that somebody, you know, moved you off or something, and you're just getting frustrated. And that's all the juniors do it. And they always get upset about it because that's not how you move somebody. That's not the correct way to move somebody. And then the next pass, he wasn't there. Again, I didn't feel like it. And I heard him coming. And so I opened up a lot, and he still clipped my nose cone. And it was more just like, I'm frustrated because obviously this kid does not care about going forward. He's just wanting to keep passing me specifically. He's not wanting to pass anybody else, just passing me. And that was more just getting frustrated. Like, okay, he's just wanting to ruin my race. And so then obviously I moved him off because I'm not going to deal with that. And I did the correct way, where you get underneath somebody in the middle of the corner, slide him wide, loses one position. But yeah, I mean, it's just junior racing. I mean, I'm literally you can listen to the video. I'm on the gas leaving the corner, and he hits me. And it's like, I mean, there's no space there. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, that's the way it is. You have like younger drivers. It's fine. You know, I got going again. It's just frustrating. You know,
Bruckner is an absolute American badass, and apologize my language for that, but I think there's no other way to describe Nick, because he is an awesome dude. As a shameless plug, we got to have a one-on-one interview with him that's going to be dropping a little bit later this week that I'm so excited about. His whole story. He's been fighting cancer for the last 2 years. He goes to chemo weekly. It has progressed. He is still fighting. He is still one of the most respectful guys you'll ever meet at the racetrack. And I won't spoil too much on that episode and get too deep into it, but he's an awesome class act. And I haven't seen him be anything but that to everybody around the racetrack. And he's still fighting it. It hasn't worsened his spirit. He gets to the track every race that he can. Super Nats, he drove from 44th to 9th. He was fastest in happy hour. He doesn't even have his left shoulder, and had to get removed. His left arm can move to about this far up, and that's it. And so he's out there wheeling 1.5 armed, basically throwing up after every single session. And you get into it, you wreck a guy, you make a mistake. But the issue that Ryan's talking about is Carson got out of the go-kart and was screaming at him when it really was a dive bomb attempt move to do something similar to the move that we have right here, where he passed Ryan in this corner coming out of this section. And it was just really tight, and they got together, and it was just a hard racing deal. Arguably, you could say it was more one or the other. I'm not going to get into that. But no matter what, you make mistakes, you get into wrecks. And that is something that needed to be touched on too, because that doesn't teach any good sportsmanship to anybody. And knowing, like, you don't need, Nick's a racer. Nick's not going to ask anyone to race him harder or cleaner or whatever. But I mean, that's just silly. And like what Ryan and Braden have said, I mean, the issue that we have, and it's not just to pick on these guys, but the whole reason that we talk about the engine impound, the whole reason we talk about the dirty driving in the sport when it comes to it at times is it's like it needs to be shown a spotlight. And, it's unfortunate that as this streaming stuff goes more, there's going to be more people that are going to see your actions. Maybe it's fortunate that it's shining a light on some of the stuff that's been going on for a while, of certain things that kind of get swept under the rug when all you have is a press release on the winners and Facebook pictures. You don't see the whole story of everything built out, but stuff's going to get captured and guys are getting exposed a little bit. Like I said, Nick's not expecting anyone to race him any differently. He goes out there, he wants the competition. He loves what he does and he loves being out there. But if you get into it and you wreck somebody and then you're out there cussing them out, knowing all that, it's just ridiculous. So I'm going to see if I can pull the clip here, because I know we got a few comments on it trying to get it. So let me see if I can get that here for us in a little bit. I'm going to run a commercial break and we'll come back. We got a lot of questions to answer here, and we'll see if I see Ryan and Polly were back in. So we'll continue this here after the break while I get a minute to try and pull that clip up of the Bruckner incident as well. I was trying to get on it, so I'm going to work on it here. But we'll come back with a commercial break with a little more to kind of talk about everything we got here from tonight. Thanks for tuning in so far, guys. See you right after this break here for KC Happy Hour.
Kart Store USA is a kart parts supplier that racers and retailers can count on when they need reliable advice and service. We focus on servicing all racers with honesty and pride while maintaining customer satisfaction. We carry a full stock of Kart Republic and Tony Kart chassis, as well as IAMI and Vortex Rock engines. We've also got a host of other parts available and in stock, such as products from Rev Performance Materials, Jecco Racing Seats, and more. We have a 100% satisfaction guarantee, and on top of that, if your order exceeds $200, shipping is on us. Check out all we have to offer today by visiting us online at kartstore-usa.com.
As the Western importer of the Praga and Formula K chassis brands, Leading Edge Motorsports is a high-performance kart shop and race team with a simple mission: teach others the joy of high-performance driving, supply our customers with the highest quality products and services, and most of all, win races. With our remarkable racing inventory, expert services, and top-ranked national-level team to back it up, we'll help to get your new kart racing package up and running fast. From arrive and drive service to kart preparation and driver coaching to the parts you need to get you back on the racetrack, Leading Edge Motorsports is the industry answer.
I'm Billy Vincent, owner of MPG Motorsports. What we do at MPG is we try to keep it a nice, fun family atmosphere, try to combine sort of the bigger things and of the bigger teams and the professionalism down with sort of some of the fun, sort of family-oriented atmosphere. We try to not only develop drivers, but also the parents and the families for just in knowledge in general in motorsports. It all starts in karting. What we try to do is try to help the drivers, the moms, the dads understand the sport of motorsports in general, not just karting, but what it takes to get all the way up through. Whether you end up wanting to be a driver or a mechanic or an engineer, we can help you with that, and that's what we're here for. If you're interested in joining us at MPG, our home base is at Whiteland Raceway Park in Indianapolis, and you can contact us at info@willpowerkart.com. And one of our great people will reach out to you, and we'll try to put the best program together.
At New Gen Motorsport, we're committed to using our 10-plus years of experience and knowledge to help grow the sport of karting from the bottom up. Our goal is to make karting more accessible to the average person, lessening the financial burden of getting started, and making the learning curve as small as possible. Our passion is training and developing drivers, mechanics, and engineers to not only be the best they can be in karting, but also for careers in the much larger world of professional motorsports. A strong foundation makes building bigger easier. Let us be that foundation for your karting and motorsports career. Be part of the new generation of motorsport. Contact us today to schedule your test day, arrive and drive race event, or to inquire about how we can help get you started in your own new gen racing.
A second to come back in. But the point being, we and this isn't, again, a knock on anyone specific, right? All the teams are in agreement. Nobody wants to just be wrecking go-karts for the sake of wrecking go-karts. No matter how many parts you sell, we're here to win races, we're here to race races. And the respect level needs to be publicly put out of what's to be expected, because everything that happens on this stage now, as the viewership's going to grow, And it already is at the point where a lot of club racers are watching these races and looking to this stuff as what's okay and what should be expected. And we've got a very impressionable audience of micro and mini drivers that look to the senior classes. So it's important that when stuff happens, there's context given to it, I believe, and that we explain, listen, we did this, I made a mistake, I own up to it, or I don't, and then get called out for it. I mean, there has to be a little bit of both, right? I mean, that was the thing on the broadcast there. And Braden, like you said, good point. Like, this isn't, Brian Perry runs a great operation. This isn't a knock on Perry. I mean, Perry does a great job of, training, putting your drivers together. This is a hard sport to win it in. Ryan, you've done an awesome job winning. Norberg's obviously been able to win as well. Congrats. But it's important that in these situations, we both, are open to when stuff's wrong, talking about it, and kind of at least having a conversation. I know I got heated there for a little bit, but I want to make sure that we clarify that up. Connor, are you ready to join the show again?
Yeah, I'm here.
I think you're ridiculous, bro. Moving from that here, we've got a few comments that have kind of come in over the course of the show. So I wanted to at least go back and find a few of those here where we could. First of all, shout out again to Jeremy, because he wasn't able to be in here, but he was trying to be in here for this show here tonight. John Green had asked if Ryan was going to race shifter, and Ryan kind of covered that a little bit earlier. And then S.J. Perkins asked a little bit of what happens during the impound process. And to be honest, it's still kind of a black art of what we do and what we don't know. Norberg, did they tell you guys when you're going to get the engines back? Do you have kind of somewhat of a clue?
No, you don't get them back. They're gone.
So they're gone. So they're taken away. All right. So that's what I wasn't sure. Okay. So I
19 to go.
Let's
go. Paulie. Paulie. We're going to move Paulie here.
Kidding.
Come on, Paulie. Be nice. All right. But yeah, so the impound then takes him fully away. So they're going to check him and then it doesn't come back. I thought that we might end up getting it back, but ultimately not. So my fault.
Even for me, I don't understand that. Like, I just, okay, yeah, you've won a lot. And yeah, the engine might be really fast. I don't understand not giving it back, though. Like, they said a while ago, they said, they'd pay you, the retail price of the engine, but those race engines are worth way more. Like, you would not pay retail price for Norberg's race engine, them taking that away. Like, I can see if they take it away and inspect it for a while, that's fine, but I feel like you should be able to get it back. I mean, I'm very happy that Norberg's not getting his engine back from PKS, trust me. But
the point of the background of it and the whole point of it, this all came from the claim rule, which in spec racing, everyone should have everyone should have equal opportunity. If you buy an X30 and get it built, I mean, obviously there's going to be minor disparities, but it should be fair for everyone. So if you are taking away that, if you're saying, okay, I got to give this one back to you, or you can have it, that's implying that he can't find another engine that's going to be just as good. And if it should all be within a window that's a normal and small window, then he should be able to find any engine and they should be able to build it and it should be the same. So it makes sense. I mean, obviously it's tough when the supply chain issues, I mean, that was a good point that I hadn't really thought of, but I mean, as long as you can get a new engine, I mean, it shouldn't be an issue.
No, I agree with that.
Oh, here's another one for you, Ryan. Will you ever do double duty between KX30 than what some of the guys have seen?
Not in the near future. I don't see myself doing it. We have Cedric does our KA stuff now. He's a great driver, so he's handling all the KA stuff for RPG, and so he'll be doing the KA, and I'll be in X30.
All right.
Anyone want to put me in a KA? Anyone want to put me in a KA for PKS? I will run both for PKS. I just need to find a KA in a cart. I don't care what cart it is. Put me in one.
Good job on the shameless plug here, Dalton. I'm sure we can get you one. Here, these were a couple more questions about the impound that came in, Ryan. This is both Ethan McKay and then a few more here. So did you end up getting, is it just fully claimed with nothing in return, or do you guys end up getting some compensation or a stock motor? What's the status?
That's a thing for a Rollison, Mr. Rollison. Yeah. So I don't know what they do. The old rule was, the old rule is $500. So you get, engine $500. So I assume that's still it. I mean, they have to give you something for the time that you put into the engine. I mean, we have hours on that thing. So yeah, it has to be something more than just retail for the engine.
Yeah. I think it's at least a little bit more. I'm sure we'll see that here. Let's see. From Canman. Canman's putting you on the spot, Brad. When are you getting back in? You said Grands was going to be your next race, right? If we can, maybe.
Yeah. Well, definitely Grands and definitely Supernats. I like to see. I mean, I'm working at all the USPKS and TSRS races, so I just need to find something that makes sense for me. I might honestly go and do some Whiteland club races, a couple times. That sounds like fun.
Dude, there's no way you're enjoying Grants. I know you hate that track. I know you hate GoPro.
Yeah, I do hate GoPro.
Brayden always talks about how much he hates GoPro.
GoPro is the worst.
So much fun that it makes up for it.
Yeah, Grands, see, that's the exception. It's like the event is so good and so fun that it's like, okay, well, it's at GoPro. We'll deal with that until they figure out a better venue.
Yeah. Oh, I like this comment here from Tiffin Willerith. He was saying, if the organization is going to keep them, then at the next event, they should be destroyed in front of everyone so that that the motor doesn't end up with anyone later. Like it's done in Europe at Rock Finals. They do it with a saw. They cut the motors up so that way no one can touch them.
They cut the motor in half.
Huh.
When I won, they cut my motor in half, so no one.
Really?
Yeah.
But you didn't even legitimately win. You won off a bumper penalty. You basically
I still won, so come on, man.
No, you did win. You did win. That was pretty cool. No, I had no idea. That was actually that would be cool. I think that's probably the better way. Well, after they check it out, obviously, and see if they can figure out, whatever secret sauce Ryan decided, like some Tabasco sauce in the fuel line and got in the motor. And
that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. But if they find out, I mean, that's one way. I don't know. I think if that was Dalton and they didn't give him anything back for the motor,
oh my God,
would be crying.
Dude, I would literally be crying.
Tech guy. That would be something, man. Well, the show got a little bit wild here tonight, guys. But thank you guys for joining us. Thank you guys for tuning in. You can go back and watch that a little bit more. As a closing comments, again, the whole point of everything we're doing is to try and just continue to build what we've got. Not everyone's going to agree. That's going to be fair. But the important part, as every viewer should take out of it, and every kid back home, is to make sure you guys are respectful and enjoy that we've got a really, really awesome form of motorsport. SKUSA's doing their part to try and make that good. By impounding the engines, obviously, as we've talked about, the US Pro Kart Series, trying to make things as level as they can by going to the standard layout that they know is safe and is going to work. Quick shout out here at the end of the show, the KC Fantasy League to Griffin Lynn. I wanted to make sure we gave him a little bit of love. He ends up winning the prize. He got the most points. You can check out the results on that online at the links. I'll have the combined total season standings now that we got 2 rounds in up in a little bit. I got to do my Excel homework, which I'm probably going to end up working a little bit. Connor mentioned that his dad's pretty good at spreadsheets. I'm still learning a little bit more, but I'm kind of self-taught, so I think I can get it. I don't know, but I think I can, where it'll auto-update on the championship standings. So there you go. Thank you guys for tuning in to KC Happy Hour. We will see you guys next time.